Chapter 2, The Address, Summary and Important Word Meanings from Class 11th, Subject English, Book Snapshots. The Address is a deeply emotional and symbolic short story written by Marga Menko, a Dutch author, which explores the impact of war on people's lives, especially the emotional scars that remain long after the war is over. The story is narrated by a young Jewish girl who returns to her hometown in Holland after World War II. She is trying to recover her mother's belongings, which were handed over for safekeeping to an old acquaintance named Mrs. Darling during the early days of the war. When the narrator first visits the house at number 46 Marconi Street, Mrs. Darling pretends not to recognize her and refuses to let her in. The narrator is disheartened and leaves without getting any of her mother's belongings back. She then recalls how, during the war, she noticed many family household items disappearing from her home. Her mother explained that Mrs. Darling, an old friend who had suddenly reconnected with her, was helping by taking their valuable possessions to protect them from being lost or stolen. During the war, Mrs. Darling took items like silverware, antique plates, vases, and even clothing. The narrator was uncomfortable with this arrangement, but her mother insisted that Mrs. Darling was helping them out of goodwill. After some time and emotional reflection, the narrator decides to visit the house again. This time, a 15-year-old girl, Mrs. Darling's daughter, opens the door and lets her in. As the narrator sits in the living room, she sees many of her old possessions, the familiar cutlery, a tablecloth with a burn mark, a candle holder, and even a still life painting she once loved as a child. However, instead of feeling comforted, she feels uncomfortable and alienated. The furniture and objects that once made her house a warm, loving home now seem strange and misplaced in this unfamiliar environment. The emotional connection is lost. The objects no longer feel like hers. The narrator realizes that objects alone cannot bring back the past or the people associated with them. She decides not to wait for Mrs. Darling and leaves abruptly. At the corner of the street, she looks back at the house one last time and makes a final decision to forget the address and move on with her life. She understands that trying to reclaim the past through material possessions is futile. So, friends, our summary is complete. Now, let's read the message. Message theme of the story: detachment from material possessions. The story shows how memories and relationships matter more than objects. Next, the emotional cost of war. It portrays how war changes people's lives forever, not just physically but emotionally. Next, loss and moving on. The narrator learns that trying to hold on to the past through objects only brings pain. Letting go is sometimes necessary for healing. Next, vocabulary. Important word meanings. First, poignant, meaning deeply touching or moving emotionally. Next, musty, having a stale, moldy or damp smell. Next, fleetingly, for a very short time. Next, lugging, carrying something heavy with difficulty. Next, oppressed, burdened emotionally, feeling uncomfortable or weighed down. Next, antique, very old and often valuable or rare. Next, reprovingly, in a disapproving or scolding manner. Next, blackout paper, paper used during wartime to block lights from escaping windows for safety. Next, shreds, small torn pieces. Next, predicament, a difficult or unpleasant situation. So friends, we have studied summary, message and vocabulary from chapter 2, the address. We will do question answers of this chapter in a separate video. If you like the video, kindly like it and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to my channel. We will meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.